Hey guys, this is Abhimanyu from AP Deconstructed. Today's video is about the Americas, part of the very first unit of AP World. In this video, we're also going to give you guys some tips and tricks to understanding the content much better than you have before. If you want to get a good head start in terms of your grade, you clicked on the right video. So without further ado, let's get started. The first unit of AP World is a very broad unit, and it in turn requires you to have the ability to identify the broader understanding. And for that, we are going to dive deep in and take a look at the Americas from a very critical and historical standpoint. To begin, let's talk about the Mayan Empire. Mayan civilization reached its height between 250 and 900 CE, and the empire essentially stretched through the southern areas of Mexico. A key thing to note is that although we do refer to it as the Mayan Empire, the government structure is actually composed of many different neighboring city-states, which are usually each ruled by their own king. As seen on screen, they were all neighboring, but this came with a cost, which means that wars were really common between city-states. As a result of these wars, Mayans did collect tribute from each other in many different forms. Usually, the winner of the war or the conqueror was the one that took the tribute from the other weaker nations. The tribute included many forms, such as food, valuable metals, and people to be sacrificed to the gods. Speaking of sacrifice, the Mayans commonly practiced human sacrifices, using tributed persons to appease the gods. Mayans believed in a variety of gods that each had different powers to control their harvests, health, and other major aspects of Mayan life. Taking advantage of this, Mayan kings often referred to themselves as descendants from the gods, which helped them to legitimize their rule. Another key detail here is that Mayan rulers, although passing from generation to generation, could be overthrown by people if support was lost. All things considered, the Mayans were loosely connected and never aimed for the height of power, but rather warred amongst themselves for small rewards such as tributes. Now, moving on to the scope of science and technology, we see that the Mayans were able to expand beyond most around the time. The Mayans surpassed mathematical barriers by introducing the concept of zero, as well as using written communication. Mayan society also embellished astronomy and developed calendars for the society using that subject. In this study, the Mayans were able to develop calendars with many dates on it and surpass any other Central American nation in doing this. Additionally, Mayans are also known for their precise calculations by making these calculations atop famous structures including Chichen Itza, which was a large old pyramid. Using this, they were able to gain and expand their knowledge of planetary structure greatly beyond anything in Central America. Now that's all you're going to need to know about the Mayans for this unit. Moving on to the Aztecs, there are some similarities and differences. Now guys, the reason I'm not going to recite the information about the Aztecs, but rather compare it to the Mayans, is because to succeed in this class, you have to make historical connections. Most of the time on tests, you're going to be finding plenty of questions which compare two very similar or different regions. For this, you have to identify those historical thinking skills that are going to help you differentiate these two answers, differentiate these two regions, and find out what makes each one unique. The Aztecs rose around the same time as the Mayans and settled around central Mexico. Since the Aztecs were a very large population, they established their capital on an island surrounded by a swamp in order to offer one layer of protection. Here on Tenochtitlan, the name of the capital, the Aztecs flourished and were able to vastly expand their empire. However, a key feature of the Aztecs included their special farming techniques. While the Mayans used general farming techniques, the Aztecs had to innovate since they lived on a swampy island. Using different innovative techniques, the Aztecs invented the use of chinampas, which were small floating agricultural domains which helped them grow food in the swampy environment. These chinampas were mostly like rafts, which had crops on top of them, and since there was water below them, it helped them grow these crops without any trouble. Now, although the Aztecs were one large empire, unlike the split-up city-states of the Mayans, they still employed similar forms of power control. The Aztecs, much like the Mayans, used tributes, but collected from their own citizens rather than other city-states. Additionally, government in the Aztecs resembled a theocracy, which meant that there was an emperor who ruled under the name of God, along with a bureaucracy of religious peoples which included priests. Moving further, Aztec religion and gender roles were not much different than the Mayan counterparts. Just like the Mayans, Aztecs used human sacrifice to the many deities they worshipped in order to achieve peace and sacrilege. Additionally, women were capable of holding a place in society where they were not totally powerless. Last but not least, let's take a look at the Incas. As always, let's start with politics and geography. The Incas were located farther south than the Aztecs and the Mayans and were located near modern-day Peru and Chile. The Incas, similar to the Mayans, were divided up by province. They were broken into 4 different provinces, each ruled by a different bureaucracy as well as an emperor. Now, one key thing to note is that although people in the empire were subject to conquest from different provincial armies, these conquered people, unlike in the Mayan and Aztec Empire, did not have to pay tribute. Instead, the Incans established a mandatory public labor system where everyone was required to work a certain amount of time, called the Mita system, and this system allowed them to achieve heights in technology, farming, and other areas of expertise. In this fashion, the Incans stuck out in Central America as their infrastructural foundation was far superior. Now, when we talk about infrastructure, there are only a few things you need to remember. First, you need to know that the Incans relied on terrace farming for food and nutrition. Here's a picture of a terrace farm. Generally, this is what they used to grow crops. Essentially, using their Mita labor system that we discussed earlier, they were able to build farms on top of mountains that contained large spaces for farming. Additionally, the Incans were known for their roads and communicative infrastructures, which put them apart from the rest of Central America. The Carpa Nan, which is the name of their large road system that they used to trade and travel, was a very famous road system that helped them communicate through many different parts of the empire. Note some mathematical advancements made by the Incans. Using a series of tied knots, the empire invented the quipu system to record dates and series of other important numbers. Very similar to the Mayans, the Incans did keep a very accurate calendar with these quipu knots. Now, finally, we move on to religion. Incas did not believe in human sacrifice to the extent of the Aztecs, but they did practice it from time to time. However, the specialty of the Incans was that they believed animism, where inanimate objects in nature were alive and influential to society. Now, before we end this video, let's summarize what we learned today with some historical connections. We're going to divide it into a couple of different categories. Mayans are going to be M, Aztecs are going to be A, and Incans are going to be I. So first, for geography, we know that Mayans were located in southern Mexico. In contrast to this, the Aztecs were located in central Mexico, farther north up from the Mayans. And finally, the Incans we know were located in South America. Although these empires might have very little interactions at their borders, large interaction was very minimal due to their geographic isolation. Moving on to government, we know that the Mayans and the Incans both had multiple provinces, although the Mayans were made up of a much larger number of city-states. However, in contrast, the Aztecs were united under a single theocratic ruler, meaning that they ruled prominently using religion, using a religious emperor and religious bureaucracy. Next, moving on to policies, we see that both the Aztecs and the Mayans used the same type of system, which they used to collect tribute. While the Aztecs did collect it from their own people, Mayans usually collected it from conquered city-states. But in contrast, the Incas used the Mita, a public labor system, and did not collect tribute from the conquered people. Now, moving on to technology and innovation, we know that the Incans were very innovative. The Incans developed quipu knots to record important information, while the Mayans developed mathematical discoveries like zero, and both the Incans and the Mayans propelled calendars. In contrast though, the Mayans used astronomical studies atop buildings like Chichen Itza, which were large ancient pyramids. However, in contrast to both of these empires, the Aztecs did not innovate much in mathematics or science. Finally, last but not least, we move on to religion. The Mayans and the Aztecs both practiced human sacrifice. However, the Incans practiced it rarely, but believed more in public disasters to be the root of appeasement to gods. And in addition, they believed in animism. And thank you guys for watching this video, and we hope that you guys were able to learn something new from this video. And we sincerely hope that it helped you guys succeed in your classes. As always, our team at AP Deconstructed would really appreciate it if you guys could like this video, subscribe to our channel, and support us so that we can make more videos in the future and support you guys. Be sure to check our channel further for more videos just like this, where we're going to be talking about more in-depth reviews of different parts of each unit, as well as some tips and tricks videos that are going to help you guys retain those AP World history thinking skills that you guys are going to need for the AP test. As always, thank you guys for watching this video, and we hope to see you soon. Bye.